Hey, my name is Mr. Smith, and this is my hobby. It's woodworking with a twist. Now, I like to do a couple things. I like to take things from nature, and I like to make art and furniture out of it. Another thing I like to do is what's called restoration salvage. And restoration salvage is you take old pieces of history like barns or antiques, and they can't be used anymore. So you salvage them and make new things out of them. I'm going to show you some examples of this around my shop. First off, over here, you're going to notice a lot of antlers. I've hunted all my life, and I've been in many hikes, and I find lots of stuff in the woods. And these are things that I've found over the years, and I make them into, for instance, a chandelier. I haven't done this yet, but I need a lot more antlers. And wall pieces like this, though I don't hang these in my house. They are pretty cool for some people. Another example of what I would call natural art is I do cut a lot of firewood. And I noticed this really cool piece of furniture once when I was out in Montana, and I wanted to make one. So I cut this maple tree really low to the ground, and this has taken a couple of years to strip this all off, but this is going to be my kitchen table pedestal. And now some examples of restoration salvages where I take all this old wood here and I try to make some new things out of it. This is one example right here. I took some old barn wood and I took an old piece of cherry that I found and I made it into something new, something cool. Well, I think it's cool at least. And a couple more pieces that I'll show you. I don't know if it's gonna come out too well, but hey, there's me. Now, around my home and outside especially, I have a lot of cedar posts that the cedar trees have died. So you can see that I've taken these cedar posts and I've made them into mantles and fences. I've also taken old desks and bureaus and I made them into some art around the house. So that's just a quick example of what I do. I find it relaxing and I find it doesn't have any time limits to them, so I can take my time on them and I really enjoy it. Thanks.
Hi everyone, I like to sew, but the only thing I can say as my sewing products is the dress I'm wearing. Make sure you see the pocket, and also the foot mat, and the teeny tiny socks of my dog. And sewing makes me feel creative, and also make the things I sew make my family laugh.
Miss Golden here, special ed teacher. One of the things that I've really picked up doing since I've been home to occupy my head and give me a break from thinking about not being at school, not being at work, not being with friends and family is making friendship bracelets. Now this is something I learned and I used to do when I was in like 4th and 5th grade. That was like the cool thing to do. It involves embroidery floss. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this. It's, if you know anybody that embroiders, it's the same type of material. Usually you would thread it, but bracelet making is just a series of knots and following patterns and picking out colors. And I really like picking out color combinations. And I learned a couple more different types of patterns since I've been home. I used to just do like 1 or 2 type of bracelets, but it's kind of soothing. It's a little therapeutic, and I'm giving them out to my students, so secrets out.
Hi everyone, I'm here to show you what my hobby is. It's actually my son's and my hobby, and that's Legos. These are my Harry Potter Legos. I am currently working on the bus. It's not quite finished yet. Got that for my birthday in April. These guys I need to put back in Hogwarts. They were originally part of a battle upstairs, which we will also show you. I build the Legos.
Hey.
Matthew plays with the Legos.
Hey Colonels, Mrs. Fagan here. My creative hobby is scrapbooking, although I don't usually have enough time to actually do this anymore. It started back in the early 2000s with scrapbooks about the soccer team that I was coaching, moved on to a gratitude scrapbook about my own life, and then documenting major events in the life of my family. I have scrapbooks for each of my kids to document their first year, big trips to places like Hawaii, big milestones like when my husband did Ironman and I ran a marathon that year. I find it to be a really satisfying way to create art while also documenting memories for the future.
Hi everybody, and welcome to my workstation. So I think in times like this it's important to have a creative outlet. So it's hard to kind of see the beginning, middle, and end of things at any time in life, but especially now. But when you could turn some little piece of plastic into something really pretty and beautiful like this, it really kind of gives you a sense of satisfaction. So I hope that you all stay creative. I hope you all stay healthy. Thank you for visiting my workstation, and I hope to see you soon.
Hey Ledyard High School, this is Miss O'Brien. I teach history over in the 400s hallway. But in my spare time or my creative time, one of the things I really love to do is cook and bake. I think that it's really important that you have an activity that you can do that's separate from work, that allows you to just kind of clear your head, dive into something that's challenging or new or different, and then you get hopefully some delicious results in this particular case. One of the people that I learned this from was my grandmother, not my mom. She does not enjoy, nor is she a particularly good cook. But my grandmother, from a very early age, not only taught me how to cook and bake, baking mostly, but taught me the importance of family traditions. And that was something that she and I could share through family recipes, through time together. And we did it with my great-grandmother as well. So it was a really wonderful time that we got to spend, and it's lasted me for many, many years since. I hope you guys all find during this quarantine time a creative hobby of your own.
Hi LHS, this is Mr. Meyer here. I've been asked to share a creative hobby that I have, and I thought I would use this opportunity to show you some of the photographs that I've taken over the years. I initially learned how to take photographs in high school, and in my high school, I didn't go to Ledyard, had a dark room. Ledyard used to have a dark room. It's next to the workout room now, and there I learned a little bit about perspective and how to develop black and white photographs, and have had a passion for it for many years. The equipment's changed. I started out with a relatively inexpensive 110 camera and ended up with a 35 millimeter. And now I just do it mostly with my iPhone. So it's been something I've been had fun with, and I hope you enjoy.
Hi everyone, it's Miss Flanagan here. I'd like to share a hobby with you today, and although I have a lot of hobbies, the one I'm going to focus on right now is wood burning, which is using a hot tool to burn designs onto wood. This is mine. It was like $15, I think. I got it on Amazon. It came with these other tips. And then in terms of what I would burn on, these are pieces from the craft store. You can get blank wood for pretty cheap. So here's a time lapse of just my little demonstration piece. You want to be careful to hold your fingers out of the way, but you can get darker the longer you hold the tool in one spot. And then these are some of my other projects. This is a box that I wood burned and actually colored back into. And then probably one of my most ambitious pieces is this table and chair set that I made for my dad when he retired. I like to do a lot of illustration and kind of symbolism, metaphor, things like that in my pieces, but you can totally look up designs just online and find a lot of different designs if you don't want to make one from scratch. So that's wood burning. It's a great hobby. I think the thing I like about it best, honestly, is the smell. It smells like campfire. So you can do a lot with it, and thanks for watching.
Hi folks, I've been asked to talk about my hobbies. So I have several hobbies. One of the hobbies that I've been doing since I was 12 years old is actually sewing. And you can see my sewing area right here. You'll see that I have a sewing machine, and I also have a serger. And one of the things that makes sewing a form of art is the fact that you choose your fabric. And the fabric makes all the difference in the world. And then you also choose your pattern, which is also a form of art, which is why most fashion designers take art classes. So I thought I'd show you something that I had been working on. I actually finished it. This is a dress, and I know that there's a window in the background, so you may not be able to see it so much. But this is a dress that I was working on. And you'll see that there are ruffles on the sleeve. Well, this is the pattern, and you'll notice the pattern does not have ruffles. So what I found was, because I'm always trying to skimp on fabric because I have far too much in my spare room, is I said, oh, I have plenty of fabric to do this. And I didn't have enough fabric to make those wing sleeves. So instead, I made the ruffles on the sleeves here. Another thing that I like to do is I like to do scrapbooking. So this is one of the scrapbooks. I have about, I don't know, maybe 30 to 40 scrapbooks. This is a scrapbook of a cruise that my children and I took a couple years ago. And then from there, I also like to make cards. So you'll see here that I have a variety of cards that I like to make. And cards are another form of art. And I know that many of the art students also make cards. So those are my hobbies.
Hey Colonels, Miss Butler here from the APO. One thing I actually just recently started was some mandala painting. Mandalas are an ancient spiritual and ritual symbol in Hinduism and Buddhism that represent the universe. They're usually like circular patterns comprised of complex patterns that represent the cosmos. And they're actually really cool. So a friend of mine started doing this, and she was doing them on rocks. It's really hard to find some really nice smooth rocks though, so I started doing them on canvas. So just small canvases. So this is the first one I did. Kind of cool color combo. Then I did another one too with some Ledyard colors. It actually is pretty simple. A lot of different materials. Actually, not too many materials used. Just a couple of different size pencil, eraser tips, a nail stylus, a dowel. Pretty simple. It's actually not too bad. The worst part about it is just trying to get it all so that it's centered and looks kind of even. So that's the first thing that I started doing. The second thing I've been getting into is air plants, also called Tillandsia. I've been doing a lot of stuff with these and putting them together into different creations. So some of them I've been using are right here. Putting them inside different varieties of materials. This one I actually glued onto a piece of driftwood and added a little tiny pine cone. And then this one I added to a grapevine wreath. It's actually got flowers coming off too, so it's kind of cool. And then I also made these that I have hanging over the fireplace. And then I put together this piece too. Put some sand in it, some shells, some pebbles, and then added the air plants into it. And then I put some lights in it too. Really, really easy. I actually had gotten some of these on Amazon. So these are all the ones I still have left to create, find something to do with them. I have another piece kind of like this thing that I'm gonna make something else with, some of the air plants. So thanks for your time. Hope everybody's staying safe and healthy. I miss everybody, and hopefully see you all again really soon. Take it easy.
Hi, this is Mr. Williams from the Agri-Science Department. I like to turn ingredients like these into delicious pickled products like sauerkraut or this kimchi.
Hello artists, it's Miss Montgomery here, Miss Amont, and I wanted to share with you my creative hobby that helps me fill the time, especially while we're stuck here during this pandemic. So it's called diamond painting, if you haven't done it before. It's done on fabric, and you get all the jewels to stick on, and the fabric itself is sticky. So that's one that I've finished. I love them because they're super sparkly. And here's one I'm working on right now. So it's super easy. Everything is laid out for you in the key, so you know what goes where, and then you get all the pieces. I highly recommend you get one of these boxes with the little compartments because you get a lot of little pieces. And then what's great about it, it's so easy. You use this little tool that comes with it. You put some wax on the end. Then you just put whatever color you're gonna work with in the tray. You boop, get it stuck on your tool just like that, and then you stick it over here. I need a number 2. There we go. Boop, that's it. Super easy. You can do it while you're watching TV. You can do it laying in bed. And it goes pretty quick, and then when you're done, you have something really pretty and sparkly to add to your wall. And I just buy them on Amazon, Diamond Art, and they're cheap and super easy. So you might want to give it a try.
Hi, I'd like to share 3 of my hobbies with you. The first one's photography. I guess I like birds too. I've been interested in photography since middle school when I bought my first camera. My best friend and I would travel all over the place and take pictures of just about everything. I also enjoy woodworking. I made these with a scroll saw. I've done some wood carving, and I hope to do wood turning someday. By far my favorite hobby is gardening. I love to be outside. I love to work with my hands, get my hands dirty. And believe it or not, I find it very therapeutic. I always feel great after a day working in the gardens. It's also a little bit like science. There's problem solving here. I have to pick the locations based on the sun, soil, and there's obviously a creative aspect to it as well. I was even a landscape architect major for a little while in college. So you can see I've been interested in this for a while. An extra bonus is my grandson enjoys helping me. Be creative, be happy.
For me, I have dabbled in quite a few creative hobbies over the years, including nifty knitting and needlepoint and some other things that maybe come and go. But there's 2 things that I've always done and will always continue to do because it's delicious and also it just keeps me happy. The first thing is definitely cooking. I really enjoy cooking and kind of grabbing a bunch of ingredients and making my own recipe or my own food just out of what's in front of me. I find it really rewarding, and my husband likes it as well. The second thing is that I like to refurbish old furniture. So I've refurbished a china cabinet that my grandmother gave me. I've stolen quite a few pieces of furniture from my mom and have repainted or in some way repurposed them. Another piece of furniture that I have refurbished is an old rocking chair that one of my friends had given me. She had found it at an antique store. It was in pretty bad shape and thought I was up for the challenge. It did take me almost a year to get going on it, but once I got going, it was a pretty awesome experience having to figure out how to make the seat as well as sand down the frame and then refinish the frame itself.
I started quilting about 2.5 years ago. So I come from a family of very artistically creative people, and I knew I could never be that person. So 2 of my sisters are really master quilters. One of them's pretty famous, and I always wouldn't do it. So maybe 2 years ago, little more than 2 years ago, somebody at school, they have a quilt group. We call ourselves the Scrappy Quilters. So they asked me to join, and I bought some fabric, and very reluctantly. I was terrified to do it because I just thought it was something that was way too hard for me. So I'm going to show you some of the things I've done. So these are the first things I made, and they're table runners. And so I started in September, and it took me until Christmas to make, these are 3 of them, and it took me until Christmas. And they were so hard, and they're pretty ugly looking, but I gave everybody I knew table runners for Christmas. The next thing, this is a quilt I made. It's hanging off my patio. It's this giant thing. It's queen size for my daughter Audrey, and it looks like it was complicated. It wasn't, but I was really proud of myself because it was big and hard and whatever. This is another big one I made. The stars were really hard. So every time you do something new, it's this new, like, really exciting time where, oh my God, I did this incredibly hard thing. So the stars were really hard, and I was really proud of that one. This one I made, it's laying on a table. I made this for the auction, for my church auction, and this one they auctioned for $1,200. So that was pretty cool. This one I made as a gift for my daughter for her wedding, and it's laying on my bed just so I could take the picture. But I was really proud of it, and if you could zoom, it's got really cool squiggles. So that was really hard, and I was really proud of myself for that one. This, I have a dear friend who's in cancer treatment, and she said, "Oh, I heard you learned how to quilt." And she sent me this giant box with all her Broadway show t-shirts that she's collected for 40 years. And I was terrified. And I ended up having to take a class to learn how to use what's called a long arm quilting machine to put this together. But this was really, at that time, like the artsiest thing I had ever done with her t-shirts. So I was proud of that one. This is the long arm machine that I took a class, and if you see, there's stars on that quilt, and that was again for the auction for my church. But that one, you use this big giant computer machine to quilt the 3 pieces of your quilt, and you could see there's a bottom on it, and then the middle part, which is hanging down on the roller, and the top is the part that's rolled up on the top there. This one I made for my daughter's best friend's wedding, and it went to Hawaii, so that was cool. This was seriously my most artistic because it took me ages to choose the fabric. And again, I had to learn how to make all those squiggly designs on the long arm machine. Then during the closure, I bought this ridiculously cool machine to work on at home. And if you can see in the left corner, I was making a quilt there at home. So that's my new machine that does like everything. It's like industrial. It's so great. And this is the one I just did during the closure. And I did it on my home machine because I can't rent that big machine. But this one, it's for holiday, so it doesn't really fit now. But that's the one I just finished the other day during closure. To make a quilt, first you just decide on what the heck you want to do, whether it's a design or a pattern. Choose fabrics. That's easy. You need fabric for the back, fabric for the top, and the batting, which is the stuffing. So a quilt has 3 pieces, the top, the fuzzy stuff in the middle, and then the back. You're going to follow your pattern and cut the pieces or do it in your head. You're going to sew those pieces together into blocks, sew the blocks together into columns, sew the columns together to make a front. Then you're going to put all 3 things together. You're going to layer them and sew that together. And again, the more complicated it gets, you can do all sorts of cool designs when you stitch them together. And I'm getting better at that. Then you're going to sew a binding around the edge, which is kind of like a frame around the picture. What quilting did for me was give me this whole sense of, oh my God, the impossible thing I can do it. And it's given me confidence that I never knew I had. And like it, in a million ways, it totally taught me that I can learn something new all the time. And then the practice and the discipline. I mean, when you're an ADD person, it's really hard to focus. And so I've made a lot of screw ups because I didn't follow the instructions, right? But it's really taught me a lot. So I hope you liked my quilts. And if you want to learn how or need any advice on it, please get in touch with me. I'd love to help you. Okay, bye.
Hi, this is Mr. and Mrs. Yano. Mr. Yano is going to play the guitar, and we're going to do the song You Say by Lauren Daigle.